I'm ready. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Insurance Made Clear. We're going to our video series about improving the financial literacy around life insurance, what it does well, where it fits with financial planning, and who it may be of interest to. I'm Ken Dahl here, joined with Graham Bergsma, and today we're talking about understanding permanent life insurance. Important topic, and we'll kind of get into it. But thanks for joining me, Graham, and yeah,
Happy to be
let's
here.
go for it. Thank you. I'm not going to have a job as a professional anchor, but hey, trying to do what I can. There you go.
Hey, you know what? Like you're getting out there and you're putting this out there. Like I know from our original conversations, right? Like your biggest thing was you wanted to get this information out there because I
Yeah,
know how much you care about your clients, and getting helping them to kind of make their decisions from an informed perspective. And so, we don't need to be
yeah,
professional anchors or have it be super
exactly.
polished. I mean, I just think your passion for this stuff is great. And so any platform that can get this information out there is good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really about just that's what it's about, providing information for people. And we're not professional broadcasters, but we are both passionate about insurance and financial planning, and we just want to provide information to people to help them think about what they maybe of benefit to them. So anyway, that's awesome. So we're gonna jump into this understanding permanent insurance. So I guess the first thing is what is permanent insurance? Um,
Sure,
give
because
me
it's an interesting question. Like you think it's kind of self-explanatory in that it's insurance that is permanent, but there are so many different variations of it. So I mean, at its core, permanent insurance is just that. It's insurance that doesn't stay in play over a specific period of time. As long as, you pay your premiums, it's there forever, which the key thing about that is unlike term insurance or some of those ones that are over a specific period of time, it's going to pay out because unless your listeners have figured out the fountain of youth or the philosopher's stone or something, unfortunately, we are all going to be 6 feet tall on the wrong side, at some point. And so this is coverage that is going to pay out because what I really think is there are different issues and different things that come up when you pass away. And if you pass away early, you didn't get to do a bunch of those things. And we've talked about that and where, that level of insurance fits and making sure that your plans and that your retirement plan and that your kids can still go to school. And those are issues that you want to solve for. The other issue that is the other inevitable thing in the whole death and taxes is the taxes side. And eventually the government's going to come and take their piece. And this is the idea of trying to solve that issue is where I see permanent insurance coming in the most.
Yeah, and permanent insurance is if you have a permanent need. So, generally at a real basic level, term insurance is what you have when you're younger, you got a mortgage, you got kids at home, and you just want to make sure there's some coverage if something happens. But permanent insurance, as we go through the stages of life, things we accumulate assets and we build up our wealth, and sometimes there's a need for coverage later on. And as you mentioned, the death and taxes thing, we don't have state taxes in Canada per se, but we certainly have capital gains taxes in Canada. And for most people that have accumulated some assets, that's a very major tax bill at the end of their life. So that's a great way where the life insurance comes in, the permanent insurance comes in. Permanent insurance, say just pick a number for example purposes. Say you have $1 million capital gain at the end of your life. Well, you could buy a life insurance policy that is going to cover you and your spouse until then, until that tax bill is there and needs to be paid. But it's going to cost you maybe half of that, or ballpark somewhere around half of that, maybe 600,000 over the rest of your life. So it's the benefit always exceeds the premium. So It's a great way of funding that tax bill. And of course, the permanent insurance pays out tax-free upon death, and it's right there, so you can wipe out any capital gains upon death in my example, and then you don't have to worry about selling cottages or properties in Muskoka on fire sale prices because you got to pay the government tax bill. So it's really if there's a permanent need, but there's other purposes for a permanent need. Maybe you want to do something for your family, for your children, for your grandchildren. It's a great way to pass financial assets from one generation to another, or even skip a generation. Again, because it's tax free. So there's all kinds of different things that people use permanent insurance for. But at the basic level, is there a permanent need? Do you need life insurance at the end of your life? Because there's going to be some bills, or there's going to be some money that you want to give to charity or your kids or your grandkids or whatever the case may be.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you want to see more on when that's appropriate, there's a great episode that we did a while back on when it term is appropriate and when it's permanent is
Oh, absolutely.
appropriate. But I
That's
guess we want to go a little deeper into that permanent side
yeah.
today.
So today we're talking about of course, understanding permanent insurance, but what types are there? There's two types. There's whole life, which a lot of people have heard about, universal life, maybe not so much common for people, but they're both permanent life insurance policies. And just to kind of kick off the discussion between whole life and universal life. Whole life is what we call a bundled product, not to use jargon, but everything is kind of set. And you buy the policy, you pay your premiums, and it builds up cash value over time, and it's going to be there at the end, of course, provided you have paid your premiums. And so it's a great way to structure a permanent life insurance policy for a permanent life insurance need. The other one is universal life, which is kind of the opposite of whole life in the sense that it's what we call an unbundled product where you can open it up and you get to pick all the options and factors of how that policy is going to work. So what that really means is it's very adaptable, and you can customize it to your situation. How you want to pay the premiums, how you want the death benefit to work, how you want to shelter money in that policy, and so on. So one is more of a set it and forget it, and the other one is definitely not a set it and forget it. It's one that you got to review on an annual basis to make sure it's operating properly. But that flexibility is just an incredible financial planning tool. And so far, CRA has kind of left it alone for the most part. And it's just a great way to shelter money while you're alive, and of course, all the permanent life insurance benefits upon death.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it's funny, there actually is a third permanent option that nobody really
Absolutely.
talks about called term to 100, which is weird. They call it term, but it's permanent. And they say term to 100, but it really actually, if you live to be 110, it's not like it disappears. A lot of this stuff is designed around the maximum life expectancy. Somebody's never going to live past 100, but what they do is they stop charging premiums after you get to 100. So it's nice. You actually get it for free.
Hmm.
And I think that your description there is good for some people that might be on here that aren't as familiar with some of this stuff. I think we can probably simplify it a little in that most permanent insurance, so the UL and the whole life, right? It's the idea of there is a cost for the insurance aspect, but the tax code allows for you to put in money over and above that, and they're basically that is invested and grows. And so with whole life, you don't make those investment decisions. The insurance company makes those investment decisions. And that can be very powerful because they have access to some investments that we, the people, don't necessarily have. And they do a good job with it, and they've got entire teams behind it. Whereas universal life, the difference is you get to pick those investments. And so, to your point, right, there's more flexibility on that side, but it takes more, and you've got to pay attention to it. And there are a lot of um, other things that come along with that, like different fees and everything else. And so, one again, like when we talked about, insurance versus investments, the same thing when we're looking at different permanent insurance. There's always been this contentious atmosphere of UL or whole life and which one's better and which one is right. And I think, they both do different things and they're right for different people. And so to me, it's all about helping people to understand what is actually involved in each of them so they can make a decision. And sometimes you might want a little bit of both because they both can do different things. And one of the issues that I've seen is that, we as an industry have kind of made this stuff very, very complex and very, very complicated. And it doesn't necessarily have to or have to be. And so to me, it's about helping clients to really have a feeling like they get this stuff, they understand it, so that whatever decision they make, whether they say, okay, I want to get this much, or I want to get this much, or I don't want to get any, at least they're making that decision from a place of strength and a place of confidence. But essentially, at the end of the day, the difference between those two is whether or not you let the insurance company pick the investments or whether you pick the investments yourself. There's a lot more to it, but that's the simplest side
That's
of it.
that's
And
that's a
then
good
term
way
to
to,
100 where there is no investments.
yeah, yeah. So to use a not probably not a great analogy, but vehicles,
Yeah.
one's a pickup truck because you need a pickup truck, and the other one's a minivan because you need a minivan, and then the turn to 100 is just the chassis. Uh, you're it's just they're all getting you from A to B, but there's different ways of doing that to accommodate different purposes and provide different solutions for people. But at the end of the day, they're all life insurance as well. So it's
Yeah, and
uh,
the Ford F-150 is the highest selling car in the world. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the best car in the world, right? Because
yep.
if if I'm working and I got to haul a bunch of equipment and I got to get to the job site and back, yeah, I'm probably going to prefer a pickup truck
Yep.
over, an old Datsun. But if I'm just going out on the weekends and trying to have fun and drive around a track really fast, I'm probably going to prefer an Audi over
Or
a Chevy Silverado. And so
exactly.
it really comes down to it. I know this must be tough for listeners because we don't always give concrete answers, but I think that's because every listener is different and every listener is going to have different goals and different things they want to accomplish. And that's why
Yeah.
if they get anything from these conversations that you and I are having, it's go and talk to somebody and have these chats and figure out what's important to you and what you want, because there is no right answer. As tough as that is, there is no right answer.
Mhm.
But if you know what you want to get out of something, then there's a right answer for you.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And there's, as I say, there's different reasons for people to have permanent insurance. And there's different kinds of permanent insurance because they provide different kinds of solutions, as we just talked about. And that's an important part of that conversation. And as you say, there's no right answer. It's what works for you. So it always kind of frustrates me when I hear something out in the world that people say, "Oh, term is better than permanent," or "permanent is better than term," and they both have their place, they both have their purposes, and same argument with whole life versus universal life. Some people say one's good and the other one's not. Well, they're both good. They both serve a purpose, a little bit of a different purpose, but that's why there's choices, there's options. So to match what people need for their situation and for their financial planning. And as a financial planner, I certainly look at permanent insurance because a lot of people, if you've got, again, cottage, vacation property, rental homes, a business, um, significant cash investments, or even RSPs, there's going to be some capital gains to deal with. So what's the best way to deal with it? Best way is and the most affordable way to deal with it is life insurance, and that's where the permanent life insurance can certainly help out.
Yeah,
And
it's really interesting. I heard a while ago that, most people in sort of financial services sell money at a premium, meaning you've got to pay more to get it. Whereas insurance is the one instrument where they're selling it at a discount. You're paying pennies to get the
mhm,
dollars. And I think, to your point, um, I think tax is the one thing that is the common through point across all of these different permanent options. When you're talking permanent insurance, it's about tax.
it's about
And there are
tax.
two different versions of that, right? And there is those they're not estate taxes, but it's capital gains, like taxes that are going to happen when you pass away, and making sure that, the wonderful world that you built gets to stay in your family, and gets the is a smoother transition. That's one set of taxes that you deal with, and that's what most people are going to deal with. And there's a specific set of permanent that can really help deal with that efficiently. And then there's the other side of it, which is we live in Canada, and that's a, for lack of a better term, an oppressive tax regime on growing your wealth and your assets. And so
Being
there's a whole
successful.
other side that's saying, okay, well, if you're one of those people that doesn't necessarily have that RSP room or those TFSA room left, and you still want to keep putting away money, well, the government's going to start coming and taking it. And so the other part is, okay, is there an alternative that people are going to be able to build their wealth more efficiently or with more control, or however you want to look at it? And we can get into that again on another day, but that's a different set of taxes that a different set of permanent insurance can really help mitigate. And so, again, there's no right answer for every individual, but it's what are you actually trying to accomplish? Are you trying to figure out how to make sure that that there's liquidity when you and your spouse pass away, so your cottage and your assets can go to your kids and grandkids? Great. Here's one side. Are you sick and tired of the government taking every dollar that your money makes from you? There's another path that you can go down, that and figuring out which ones are most appropriate to each person, and then figuring out how to build something um, as efficiently as possible that solves that problem is really at the heart of it.
Yeah, that's a great a great explanation of it and how it works. And it's, people are going to hear it a lot with us, but it really depends on what your situation is and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish and what's the best way to do that. And insurance is one of those tools that we have in our toolkit to help with that. And as you mentioned, the permanent insurance is mostly about dealing with tax. And that's where it comes in, and that's where it's very helpful, and that's why a lot of people will purchase permanent life insurance, is because they want some help with the tax and do some tax planning, in the remainder of their life, but also estate planning from a tax perspective. How do they want to deal with those eventual taxes, and how do they want to transition money to the next generation? So it just takes us down the road of there's different stages of life again, financial planning, and how to set ourselves up for those situations that are going to come along, and in the most efficient way and tax advantage way that we can.
Yeah,
So
and it's why, I say this all the time. It's why I really like working, with you and the actual financial planning side of things, because I see too often in the industry, you know, permanent insurance is sort of sold as a panacea that solves all these problems and is always the best option. And, eventually it probably is, but what I love about what you do and about the financial planning side is it looks at all of those eventualities, and how all of those levers can be pulled differently, and when they come into effect properly, to kind of give clients the best range of outcomes. So sometimes that cash flow is much better off to go into investments and into day to day, and at those stages, that's where, the term might be better and keep that money elsewhere. But eventually that kind of shifts over to where taxes are going to become too big of a burden. And figuring out, when and where that switch over is appropriate is part of what good financial planning does, and it's why I really do appreciate the work that you do with your clients.
thanks, Graham, and just to return the compliment. Um, I don't know if most people are probably not aware of, but I met you a couple of years ago, and I could tell right away that you knew insurance, and I've been in and about around the insurance business for 30 years, and I know who knows their stuff, and I don't know another person in Canada that knows life insurance as good as you. And so that's, the beauty of me being a financial planner. I can deal with these concepts in terms of the client's financial plan and future, But when it comes to insurance, there's a lot of choices, there's a lot of options, there's a lot of products. And of course, you know all the companies as well. And you know what if I've got situation A, which company is the best? Situation B, which company is the best? And that's an important part of the consideration that the insurance that gets put in place when there is a need is the best product available for that client's situation at the time. And that's an advantage, of course, of being an insurance broker, and you know those companies, and you have relationships with those people at their head office, and that sometimes helps helps get things done, make sure everything is done in the proper way and so on. So it's just really good to have. That's why I wanted to do these videos, is because you bring so much in-depth knowledge of the life insurance business and the insurance products that are available, and that's just incredibly valuable. And I kind of latched onto that as soon as I met you, and I said, here's a guy that knows his stuff and that I want to work with going forward. So it's great to have you on board and sharing your expertise, and I appreciate you doing these videos with me.
Of course. It sounds like we've got a bit of a mutual admiration society going on. So yeah, I mean that's humbling to hear that from you, and so I appreciate that. I've, put my nerdiness to work for the people and trying to figure out all of these different things over, a decade plus of work in this. And so that's why when you asked me to come on board, like being able to take that and get that across to people that would benefit from the information, not the anything else, but the information. I jumped at the prospect. So
Yeah,
I
and
appreciate you putting these on.
yeah, no, and it's great, and that's really the purpose. It's not about you, and it's not about me. It's about providing, information from both of us who are industry veterans, have seen everything there's possible to see, and know how to do things right and how not to do things, and it's about providing that information, that expertise, sharing that expertise with the viewers, and hopefully helping them make more informed decisions. At the end of the day, for me, it's really about the client making the
Yeah.
best informed decision that works for them and their situation. And the rest is all part of the picture, and it's important. But if you can set up your insurance better, or set up your financial plan better, you're going to be better off. So it's really about just sharing information that you can benefit from. So
And
anyway,
it's funny about you talking about making the informed choice because it doesn't mean it's going to be the right choice. Like one of the things that I'll say is we don't have a crystal ball. Neither of us know what's going to
mhm,
happen in the future. But I think, if one person can make that decision feeling more confident about it, that they actually made that decision knowing the different ins and outs and the risk reward, then we've done our job. If
yeah,
people can feel more confident in that they are more informed, then I think we've done a good job.
we've done a good job, and I look back on each video as we do it, and I think, did we get a good message across for people that they can take away and benefit from, and that's kind of the goal of the video, and we've done another one here, and I just look forward to doing more videos with you. Another good one, obviously today with this one, and always appreciate your help, your insight, and your expertise. And we're just gonna keep doing them, and hopefully the people are watching them and they benefit from them. And that's anyway, that's the goal. Thanks everybody for
Well,
watching, and
happy to help. And if anybody's got topics that they want to know more about, send
yeah,
them into Ken and we'll do an episode on them. So
yeah, that
appreciate you
sounds
having me
great.
on as always. Always a
Yeah,
pleasure.
yeah. Thanks for joining me, Graham, and take care, and we'll see you on the next one. And thanks everybody for watching. Bye for now.